It makes sense. It does.
It does. You know what else
if
makes sense?
In
The U.S. Mint.
the U.S. Mint,
It makes sense.
it does.
Okay, keep going.
I see what you did there.
It's time for the Garage Boozing Podcast.
What's up, nerds? And welcome back to another episode of the Garage Boozing Podcast. I'm your host, the man with absolutely no plan, the Chase with the face for radio, Chase Shurga. Well, folks, it's that time again. This episode was a couple days late simply because we recorded on Thursday this week. I had to make special arrangements for our special guest. And usually we record it earlier in the week. Gives me a couple days to edit. Boom, live on Thursday. But yeah, today it's going to be launching on the weekend. Sorry, not perfect. One-man show. What do you want from me? But anyway, today we are joined by Ben Wilcox. Ben Wilcox is a very good friend of mine, former coworker, and just an all-around very intelligent man. He's got me in age by about 20 years. So, he's seen a lot in his days. And like I said, very smart guy, very big on conspiracy theories. So before we even get started, I'm going to tell you he's definitely going to be back in the next few weeks because, wow, we had one hell of a conversation. And, you guys are going to love it. So without further ado, you know what time it is. It's time to sit back, relax, kick your feet up, crack open a cold one, and if you're really feeling fruity, take a shot. Why not? Because this week's episode of the Garage Boozing Podcast starts now. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Garage Boozing Podcast. Today I am joined by one very special guest, not two, but one. We have Ben Wilcox to my right, your left if you're watching on YouTube, a former coworker of mine, very good friend. Ben, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
I'm so glad that Ben is here, and I'm excited to see the conversation that we're going to have. This guy has very good, interesting stories, great conspiracy theories, so you guys are going to love this episode. But one thing I want to mention first before I forget, Dogecoin. Are you in on Dogecoin or are you not in on Dogecoin?
I'm not.
Not at all.
I'm following it, but I'm not.
Okay, so I don't know if you saw, I was posting a bunch today. People are posting all over Twitter, Reddit, Facebook. Buy Dogecoin, 9 o'clock, big spike. And since you've been here for an hour, I kept wanting to mention it, but I was like, oh, I got to save this for the podcast. So when Dogecoin, it's a cryptocurrency for those of you that don't know what Dogecoin is. And cryptocurrency, I don't know anything about it. I just shoot money where I read that I should shoot it in, like Bitcoin, for example. I remember I bought Bitcoin a couple years ago, right at its peak when it was at like 18,000, and then it dipped back down to like 3,000. So I'm like, oh shit, sold it. And then it goes up to 37,000 or something was its peak recently. Where did I buy it? 37,000. Keeps dipping down. Sold it. But anyway, Dogecoin, cryptocurrency, like it's a meme coin they call it. I don't even know what that means. I think it was just like created for whatever. But Elon Musk, the richest man in the world, by the way, has been very behind it, tweeting about it. So people have been throwing money at it. I bought Dogecoin when it was 0.023, so what's like 2 cents a share, and that was like a week ago, and then it got like almost up to 8, almost cashed out, held on, and then today it was like around 5, so I was like, and I only put $100 in, so I doubled my money. And then today I'm reading all this stuff, there's going to be a spike at 9 o'clock, everyone's buying at 9 o'clock, we're going to get this to 25 cents, so I'm like, holy shit, okay, I'll throw another $100 in there. I don't go crazy with stocks or crypto because I don't know anything about it, but anyway, threw $100 in. 9 o'clock comes. It's tanking. I'm losing money, Ben. Why am I losing money?
Because anytime that poor people catch on to schemes like this, they shut it down. And this is the type of thing that happens within, insider trading and all these things happen, on a regular. But so many people have invested on it, and so many people know about it now that it's Elon Musk is an influencer, and so him saying something about it.
He seems like a very cool rich dude.
He is.
He smoked pot with Joe Rogan.
Well, he sort of did. Yeah, I think it was more for optics than any more appearance.
He lost a lot of money when he did that.
Yeah, some people were upset about it, but
who cares? It's Elon Musk.
Exactly.
Richer than Jeff Bezos.
Yeah,
anyway,
he. I like him. I've been a fan of his for a while. I sometimes question, and if we're going to get into conspiracy theories, we can start right now.
Sure.
He's very, very wealthy, and it's difficult to be that wealthy without being part of the bad guy club, if you will, I wonder. He seems to be outside of that circle, and I wonder how he got there. And at the same time, he does things like when he started doing the whole tunnel thing. He was literally digging tunnels under Los Angeles, and he just got a permit to dig. Like, we're gonna dig, and they're like, and he's doing tunnels that are literally, I don't know if you follow that. His concept was rather than making things fly, it's better to put them underground. It's less congestion. If you have things in the air, inevitably things are going to be crashing into each other.
I've actually never heard about this, but I see the logic behind it.
It makes sense. It does.
It does. You know what else
if
makes sense?
In
The U.S. Mint.
the U.S. Mint,
It makes sense.
it does.
Okay, keep going.
I see what you did there. I thought that the dad jokes were going to be on me tonight, but
No, you're so right.
Thank you for breaking the ice on that. But yeah, he does essentially what he wants, which rich guys do. But I wonder. But then at the same time, I don't know if you've ever heard his theories on AI, and he's very concerned about
AI,
it.
I think, is going to take over the world. That scares me.
He does.
I,
too.
Robot, the movie I, Robot with Will Smith.
Yeah, that's
Foreshadowing is what
essentially
that is.
that is-
Foreshadowing.
That is the concept.
A hint of something to come.
The reality is that if computers become sentient and they start to they're thinking for themselves, we're a parasite. We're at the top of the food chain, so no one really messes with us, but that would all change.
They
very
will
quickly.
destroy us, man.
Well, I mean, if they can build themselves, which would happen, if they become sentient, it would be that the next step would be them, and they would see us as not necessarily a threat, but just an unnecessary.
They don't need us.
Yeah, exactly.
I actually saw this thing where these, they made 2 AI robots or whatever, and they developed their own language. And this story is so vague because I forget all the details behind it, but they created 2 AI robots or whatever that were like an experiment, and the 2 started communicating using, all they knew was the English language, but they were using English language the way it's not supposed to be used, like jumbling letters and stuff and communicating with each other. We don't know what they're saying, but they knew what they were saying. So then they got shut down. That is true. If you Google it, you'll find it. Right now I'm not going to Google it and take the time to do it, but it's out there. That was a thing.
It's inevitable that it will become a problem if it's left to computers process things much faster than a human brain. We know
Of
that.
course.
And so
And the
if
human
you
brain's
have-
pretty fast.
when they start extremely, but at the same time, as far as what a computer can do and what we can do, or and when if they were to create themselves, it would get exponentially faster and more intelligent, and we would be out of the loop. Like you were saying, with having those conversations, they develop their own language, which I would imagine they probably dug into that after they shut that project down. They probably dug trying to see what they were.
Yeah, like, what the
actually-
hell? What
yeah,
the
like,
hell?
What were they
What the
talking about?
fuck?
And I kind of wonder.
Sorry, Dad. He doesn't like when I say
Your
fuck.
dad- is he watching right
Yeah,
now?
he usually listens, but he doesn't like when I say fuck in the podcast. So I always say sorry, Dad.
Did you bleep it out?
No, I just say fuck and then I say sorry, Dad.
That's acceptable.
You're a dad. That'd be okay, right?
Yeah. Well. Yeah. Any technology that you can imagine is going to happen. At some point, will happen. We will figure out how to do it.
When do we become the Jetsons?
I think
He's George
we're
Jetson.
pretty close. I think that if oil didn't control as much as it does, we would have much more advanced vehicles right now. The tunnel thing seems to make more sense, but I mean,
It does actually make sense. I never heard of that. Never thought of it, but I mean, going underground makes way more sense than flying. But what about things grow through the ground and shit?
you can. I mean, if you go down to a certain level, the theory
To the
is-
fucking core and melt?
Well, I mean, that's really far. It's a lot farther than you might imagine. It's we can dig down pretty far and still be safe. And the concept is that there's a lot of space, and that you can do multiple levels, and you can have absolutely insane speeds moving from one place to another with no stops, going from California to New York in 15, 20 minutes. Maybe not that fast, but
I was gonna say that. I think the blood would rush into your
Yeah,
head.
you might pop, but
But the thing that scares me about that is if you're underground, so when one of those what are they calling them, tunnels? One of those tunnels. What if they break and
So-
you're stuck under there? You're not getting saved. You're dead.
Well, they've figured that in. Obviously there's a lot of what ifs, and so they've contemplated a lot of that. And so I couldn't begin to tell you all of the parameters as far as what they have figured in with this. But the idea is that if you can send a vehicle at insane speeds back and forth, and it works, then you can start to build that you have to have safety. Obviously, you would have to have some sort of precautions put in place in case it stalls. But the idea is that you're in a tunnel, that there's really nothing to stop it. You're in some sort of a material, whatever they would use, it would be a really, no friction, just something that can sail down this tube.
If anyone can create that, it's Elon Musk.
Oh, 100%. They have the technology, or they have the concept is feasible.
Yeah.
It's throwing the money at it, which he has, and also, getting the country to adopt it. But at the same time, California's like, do what you want, like have at it.
Yeah, just go ahead
all
and
the
dig.
holes you want, as long as no skyscrapers cave in.
Did you see his recent space shuttle just crashed and like blew up? That was millions of dollars just blew up.
I mean, that's
That's a sneeze for him.
figured into the budget, really, is what it is.
So we all started this with Dogecoin.
Yes,
So you didn't get on Dogecoin.
I didn't. I have a hard.
You're smart because I'm losing money right now.
Well, and that's what you would expect, and the whole idea, especially the whole thing with GameStop, and when this all started, it's when the average American figured out, that to take advantage of, a rising stock, and this is something that's done.
Wall Street Bets on Reddit. That's who's telling all these people. There's 7 million users in that thing, and they're like, yeah, okay, GameStop, AMC, boom, buy it now. So like today, they're like, oh, Dogecoin. Buy it, 9 o'clock. Yeah. Everyone's doing it. So I see all over Twitter, everywhere, buy it at 9 o'clock. So I bought it, and people are getting scared at 9:02 that it's not rising, so they're dumping their money.
What it demonstrates, though, is it shows a very clear view of how it's possible to manipulate the market.
Absolutely.
And
I'm a fool. I'm a fool.
It not just in your loss in your investment, but how people can game the system and make huge amounts of money off of it. And if you're in that system, then that happens every day. And this is how these people make their living. But when
By fucking me over.
when it happens to the general public and it gets on Facebook and Twitter and and everyone's talking about it, then all of a sudden, Robinhood shuts down trading, which I'm pretty
dicks.
sure that's
Dicks.
illegal. I don't think but nobody cares
But
because
no, they changed it now. I think probably because they were slapped with 1 million lawsuits.
I mean, then they should have been. That's the
Yeah.
thing. It was not. It wasn't an illegal. It was the idea again, though.
It was a dick move.
It was a total dick move, but it also demonstrates how these things happen, and it's just like, well, that's just how it is, and we're just going to move on. We do this all the time, but you're not allowed to, and that's really the problem. And so this whole thing, and like, I've seen people on social media talking about, invest in Dogecoin, and it's, if you understand how the markets work, which I don't claim to, but I understand enough that, when everyone jumps on something, all of a sudden the depending on, the investments, whatever, but on something like GameStop, for example, I mean, the company was circling the drain, like GameStop, if you've ever been in there, that there's, so
Yeah, I
it's
traded
hard
my Call of Duty. It came out last year. I get $3 for it. Fuck you, GameStop.
Yeah, well, that's what they're famous for. But the point being is that they were circling the drain, and this artificial surge in the market because of someone stepping in, and because of it doesn't mean that suddenly GameStop as a company is a profitable and and reasonable thing to invest in.
And they're tanking now. They were up to almost $400, and now they're at 50.
Again, but this proves,
See what I should have done when I bought Dogecoin when it was just over 2 cents, and then it got to 8 cents. I should have threw like $1,000 in there, got it up to 8 cents and cashed out, but I didn't know.
But here's the outside perspective here. If you were in the know and you knew that you knew that GameStop was going to spike like that, and you would, if you were in that group, you would invest in it, and you would put a shitload of money in it, and you would know that it was going to die. There's no way
Cash
that
out
it's
when
going to
it
maintain,
peaks.
and know exactly when it's going to peak, and that is the whole point here, is how easy it would be to manipulate something like that, and how it's done every day, and it's now we saw it in black and white, and it's still no one says or does anything about it. People are saying something about it, but nothing's being done. Yeah, I mean, but cryptocurrency is. It will always be a thing, and the reason being is that it's a way to trade and use money without being tracked, and it's a way to especially for illegal things, drugs, guns, humans, whatever you're selling on the internet. If you're using cryptocurrency, there's really no way to get that traced back to you. There is certainly ways, but it's much more difficult. So that being said, it will always be around.
What was that website? It was like the dark web. It was they shut it down.
There was a lot of them. I mean, there's
The Silk Road. Silk Road.
Well, that was like the eBay of drugs.
Yeah.
Like you could literally,
And that's what cryptocurrency was all over that.
again,
Bitcoin.
again, that would be how you would, you could literally go on here and do a search for like, I would like a kilo of cocaine, please, and they would say, here's like
Ship it to your house.
5 different people that would,
In a peanut butter jar.
yes, and you would pay it in cryptocurrency, and there was no way for it to be. You know how that guy got busted? The guy who made Silk Road.
No, I don't. How did he get
He was
busted?
he was at this guy was slick.
So for those of you who don't know, Silk Road was like a website where like you could like it was on the dark web, right?
It was.
Yeah.
It was the eBay of drugs. It was like and
You want
probably
drugs
other
delivered to
things
your
too.
house? Here you go, Silk Road. But anyway, how do you get
And
busted?
it was around for like
A while.
yeah. And
I remember when I first found the dark web, Silk Road was one of the first things I ever found.
and at that time, the dark web was pretty anonymous. It's not anymore. I mean,
Yeah, it's very easy to get onto now.
the CIA realized that was a problem, and so
Yeah.
they became very adept to it. And now, if you know what you're doing, you can certainly maneuver.
Right, but you can still get caught on the dark web now, kids. So don't be
Yes,
stupid.
you've got kids that are going to download the Tor browser and get on there and start
Or
looking.
the Onion browser.
Yes, exactly. The Onion, and so it was done very well. He knew what he was doing, and whenever he would, when he would actually log on.
Did he make money off that?
Oh, he was living the life, and he was at a coffee shop, and had his laptop sitting on a table, and got up to take a piss or get a refill, and left his laptop open, and FBI showed up to arrest him for something completely unrelated. I think he was, I forget what it was. It may have been drug related, but not Silk Road related. They
Yeah.
had no idea. And so they see him get up to go refill or piss, whatever he's doing, and they seize his laptop, one of them, whatever, and they grab him and they arrest him, and they bring everything back to the cop shop, wherever they go, and they look at his laptop and they're like, holy fuck, because he was logged in and got up and walked. This is the only reason this guy got caught.
Wow.
He was logged in as the administrator, and they had his laptop, and they realized what, somebody was like, holy fuck, man, this is, yeah, and that's how he got caught. Otherwise, he was completely anonymous. And this was at a time when you could, and you can still effectively hide on the dark web, but it's not like it used to be. But back then, it was only his stupidity that got him caught.
Draft Top. The Draft Top is an absolute amazing tool. I love this thing so much. So this cool little bar tool, you open it right up. You stick it right on the top of your beer can, like this. Give it a little twist, a little left, a little right, a little friction, I like to say. Get your mind out of the gutter. But yeah, boom, top of the beer pops off, and it makes it look just like this. So forget about a red Solo cup, I'll fill you up. Your Draft Top just became a cup. So why pour your beer in a cup, do the dishes, waste plastic, when you can drink it right out of your can with your Draft Top? Makes for a total better drinking experience. You can smell the aromas of the alcohol. You can chug your beer a hell of a lot quicker. But yeah, I want you to have one. You want you to have one. Draft Top wants you to have one. So you can get your very own Draft Top right now at www.drafttop.com. And don't forget to use promo code 10%-garage boozing. That is 10%-garage boozing for 10% off your very own Draft Top and site-wide. Their entire website. Anything you put in your cart, boom, 10% off. Use the promo code. Get yours now. Thank me later. Back to the show. I think it's time for a little beer review. What do you think?
Yeah. What? So what is it?
This is. Oh, hold on. Let me get back to the microphone here. This
Oh.
is Foster's Lager.
It's Faustus. You have to say it with a
Wait, where's it from?
Australia.
Faustus.
So you can do an Australian
Faustus.
accent.
Did I-
Australian for beer. Yeah,
Australian for
piss.
beer.
Yeah.
Faustus.
Well, you couldn't find a bigger one.
No, this one was only $2 actually. But all right, so
expected.
right in the camera, Foster's Lager. I've never had it. Ben had it like when he was 20, and he's like 64 now. So
That was when everything was black and white.
yeah,
Pixelated.
all life was black and white. Oh, I can't even.
Low res.
So simple rules here. Scale 0 to 10. Like I don't know if you've ever seen a pizza review. Same thing, 0 to 10. So like my 10's a Natural Light. I say that all the time. Natural Light's my favorite beer. It's my absolute like number one. Always has been. Always will.
All right. We'll
But I mean, it's all on your taste buds. So I mean,
so I've had this beer before, but it's
it was like 20 years ago.
It was. So let's try it.
All right, cheers, mate.
Cheers.
I hope I'm gonna like this. I don't know how much percent it is.
Because that's really what matters. What is it anyway? Honestly, that's
Dude, for the third beer review that we've had on here, again, better than I thought it would be. The can is deceiving. The can kind of scared me.
This
is a light beer.
Yeah, that's not that bad.
I need to pick some shit that's gonna drive me wild because this actually is not. This is huge too. But all right, anyway, so score 0 to 10. I'll let you go first.
So if we're scoring this on like from the best beer I've ever had
Yep.
to the worst beer, or are we scoring it on this?
A 10 is the best beer you ever had. Like you'll literally you'll go across the country to get that beer.
We're maybe a 4. It's not bad. I mean, maybe 4.5, 4 or 5. We'll give it 4.
4.5. Okay, professional score. We'll give him that. He used a decimal there.
It's not horrible. I mean,
So first one I reviewed was a Shock Top Lemon Shandy. That was a 6.9 sex, no pun intended.
that's a good beer.
Yeah, it was very good. And then the second one I had was a Red Stripe. Never had a Red Stripe before. You can see the empty Red Stripe over there because I haven't thrown it away.
In the weird bottle.
Yeah, in the weird bottle. Very weird. It looks like a 2-liter, but miniature. I gave that a 6.5. This, I liked both of those better than that, but this, I thought I was going to hate this. I don't love it, but I mean, it's not terrible. So I'm going to go 5.7. All right, folks, we've got a new sponsor alert. New sponsor, I said? Yes, I did. So let me tell you all about the Pump Action Shotgun Tool. Whoa, there's a tool for shotgunning? Hell yeah, there is. So listen to this. The Pump Action Shotgun Tool, created by the Drunk Engineers. Love that name, by the way. It makes shotgunning a hell of a lot easier, and let me tell you how. If you're watching on YouTube, you can see my little demonstration here. If you're not, just listen for a sec. So this little tool in my hand, the Pump Action Shotgun Tool. So you're going to take your beer, and you're going to stick it right in the shotgun tool, like this. Hold it like that so the air pockets are up here, and then you're going to give it a little squeeze. You're going to hear pop, bam, pop. But look at that, no mess. So right now the air pocket's right up here, and you're going to want to make sure you take this, push that down, and then what we're going to do is we're going to rotate the tool. Hold the beer can in place to the mouthpiece. Then you're going to put your mouth on the mouthpiece and shotgun. And boom, no mess. You can shotgun at the dinner table, family events, wherever you want with absolutely no mess. So forget shotgunning, slamming a knife right through. Yeah, not a thing anymore. Thanks to the Pump Action Shotgun Tool by Drunk Engineers. And you can get yours right now. So just log on to www.drunkengineers.ca. Don't forget to use promo code GarageBoozing for 15% off site-wide. That's right, promo code GarageBoozing for 15% off site-wide. Go get yours now. Thank me later. Back to the show.
Is it weird for you that you and your father have like literally like the same genes? Like
Everyone says
it's
that.
clear that you didn't get anything from your mother at all. I've never met your mother, but I have met your father. I saw your dad at the Civic Center one day, and I thought it was you.
Dude, one time I was walking through Price Chopper, local grocery store where I live, and this girl that like was behind the meat counter goes, "Hey, Ray," and I'm like looking the complete
really?
opposite way. No, I'm looking the opposite way at like meatballs or something, all the prepared meals. Ray, is that you? And then like I keep hearing Ray. I'm like, is my dad here? And then Ray. I turn around. She's looking at me. I'm like, I point to myself. Me? Yeah, Ray. I was like,
Close.
Well, yeah. I'm his son. He's 30 years older than me, but thanks.
Wow. Yeah.
I know. I was like, She goes, oh my God, you look just like your dad. Yeah, I guess, I don't know. I guess the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, they said. But I will say the one thing I did get from Kevin. Kevin's my mom's name, by the way. I don't know if I ever told you that. Kevin is my mother.
No, you didn't.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, it wasn't a thing I really told people until like I started the podcast. Now I just think it's funny. I call her K-Dog for short. She doesn't love that. But yeah, I got...
Well, hold on. So what does she go by?
Michelle, her middle name. Her full name is Kevin Michelle.
Was that like her dad being a dick? Or
No, they thought she was going to be a boy, I'm pretty sure. And then she came out a girl.
I thought my daughter was going to be... But we didn't name her Roger.
We didn't name her Roger. No, good point. Yeah, I don't know. Back then, I don't know. Times were weird. But anyway, so she was Kevin, Kevin.
That's cool.
And then like once she became a teenager and everyone's called her Kevin at school, like I think she's the only girl Kevin in the world. So
I would agree.
Yeah. So then she started going by Michelle, her middle name, and she's been Michelle ever since. I didn't for the longest time in my life. I didn't even know her name was Kevin. I don't know how I figured that out. But yeah, I got my taste in music from Kevin. But like looks, personality. Oh my God, I'm such my dad's kid. It's not even funny.
My mother.
I'm my dad, but funnier.
So the moon thing.
Oh yeah. So before we when I was texting Ben yesterday about being on the podcast, he was telling me he wants to talk conspiracies. I'm all for that. But so he was like something about, have you heard my conspiracy about the moon? And I was like, no, but don't say a word because I want you to tell me it's on the podcast. Can I ask you a question on what your theory is? I'm going to throw a guess out there. So is your theory that we didn't go to the moon and that they recorded it in a desert?
No, we definitely went to the moon.
You think we did?
I think that the weirdness about all the weird things that people say we didn't go to the moon because of this and because of that. I think, here's my theory. we at the time the whole idea was it was all cock waving to compete with the Soviet Union.
Yeah,
we wanted
swinging
to get there.
dick.
Yes, it was absolute dick swinging, and we wanted to get there first, and so we did. I believe that we did, but I think that they faked some of it. I think that at the time Hollywood was capable of like, you know what, we could actually make this look a lot better than it really is, because the idea that they had that kind of technology when they landed on the moon, getting that video back, the way the video looked, the just the audio communications,
Seeing the flag waving in the wind when there's no wind.
I think that some of it may have been shot in a studio, maybe.
But you still think we still think we
yes,
went there?
absolutely. I think we landed on the moon, and I think that when we got there, we saw some shit we weren't expecting, and that's why we haven't gone back.
I've heard audio of like, I don't know if it's real or fake, but I've seen like things where
There's-
like Neil Armstrong, it was
Yeah.
Neil, right? Neil.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, like he's like saying something. Oh, what's that? And like starts to scream and it cuts off.
There's been a lot of like, you know, the core of that story is that they switched to a secured channel, and that there were a bunch of people out there that had ham radios that were picking up everything, and that a bunch of people all heard the same transmission. That they switched to this secure channel, and they're like, there's something out there. We're not alone, and that Houston or whatever was saying, just ignore it. Don't turn the camera that way. Just do your thing. Pick up some rocks. Make it look cool. Get back and don't fucking say a word. And that was this transmission. That's obviously not, you know, like a verbatim.
Yeah.
But that's been a lot of people who had these ham radios were saying that we picked up this transmission. It wasn't just one dude who was like,
Yeah.
oh, I heard this thing. It was a lot of people.
I've
But
heard that where he's like, we're not alone or whatever. Yeah.
like most things, though, it, you know, just gets buried and goes away. So who knows what the real truth is on that? But that is what was in it, you know, and we haven't gone back.
We
we
actually we only went there once, right?
Yeah, and we you know, all kinds of shit.
And that makes you wonder, why haven't we gone back?
yes,
Especially
So-
with the technology we have
and the
now.
theory is that something was there that said you're not supposed to be here. You need to go, and that's in a nutshell. There's more to it than that, but that's that.
Wouldn't that scare us though? Like, wouldn't we blow up the moon or like do something to like?
like just one nuke, like from Austin Powers.
Yeah, I guess it's not that. It's
Sir,
not
are you
that
saying we should blow up the moon? What? Maybe. I don't know. Like,
no, but like,
no, I don't think that would be a bad thing.
was that on the dark side of the moon?
Let's get into the moon thing. So this is how.
Oh, so that wasn't the conspiracy.
No.
Oh, okay. Let's hear
no,
the.
no.
Okay.
And we definitely landed on the moon. I can't say definitely, but I believe that we
Okay.
landed on the moon. I think that we might have faked some of it to make it look better.
If you believe it, I believe it. But all right, what's your
Yeah.
moon conspiracy?
So I don't. So I'm on YouTube back in the day when YouTube was like cool, and it was all kinds of, you know, conspiracy theories and things. And I loved coming across the really crazy ones, the really out there ones. You know, flat Earth was that was just stupid. But like I stumbled across this one, and I'm always curious, like, why do people believe this? You know, like why does it have a following? Why is it there? You know, are more people on board with this? So one of them, I'm looking through it. It says it was talking about the moon is a engineered object that is not a natural body, and that it was put there by something more intelligent than us. And I remember seeing that. I was like,
Oh boy.
yeah, like that's.
Oh, boy.
So here's where it starts to get interesting. So that you can believe this or not, and I don't know what to say. I'm not going to say that this is the truth. But first of all, no one knows how the moon got there.
Sure.
That's a fact. There's all kinds of theories.
Do you remember when they said Pluto was a moon for like 5 years, and they're like,
Pluto-
okay, it's a planet.
It gets no respect.
Yeah, no respect.
Poor Pluto. Yeah, so yeah, like there's like I'm a planet. I'm not a planet. I am.
Yeah.
You know,
Planet,
yeah,
moon, planet, moon.
yeah.
All right, you're a planet again.
Yeah. So the moon, if you look at any other planet that we can view, and the, you know, moons, and mostly how it works is you've got this big body that things are floating by, and they get attracted to its gravitational pull, and they float
Rotate.
around it. So you look at a planet like Jupiter, which is literally, I don't know the math, but it's like hundreds of times bigger.
Huge.
Yeah, than
Huge.
the Earth. And it has moons that are the size of our moon. And that makes sense because it's a fucking huge thing.
Yeah.
It's a huge planet. Our moon is so big that one of the thoughts was that when the Earth was cooling, when like the Big Bang happens and the Earth, you know, chunks of molten shit is floating through space and it separates. There's a couple of different theories that it just separated. There's another one where another planet smashes into it and that it separates and like it creates the moon and whatever. The problem with that theory is that there are things on the moon that don't exist on Earth, and there are things on Earth that don't exist on the moon, therefore proving that they're not the same.
Yeah.
They're not the same.
Sure.
So the other theory is that the moon was just strolling through space.
I just got sucked in.
Yeah,
Earth.
and just like, pulled up, and the Earth was like, hey, man. But the problem with that, though, is the moon is so big that it would have just kept going and smashed into the Earth and would have been cataclysmic. And that's another theory that it did that, and then this is what's left. And I don't remember how that was. I don't know necessarily it was disproven, but it was never proven. So nobody really knows how the moon got there.
And what's weird about the moon is it doesn't rotate. It's just the one side of the moon that goes across.
One of many, many weird things about the moon. So when you start to look at all the weird things, you really start to question. As a logical person asking logical questions and looking at things, and how did this happen? So the moon, so it's there. It's in the perfect spot, and by perfect, there's so many levels of perfect that it's too perfect. When you get into that, like, as an engineer, as like I am a network engineer, so I'm not whatever. But as somebody who puts things together, when you're looking at something that's so perfect like that, you have to wonder, like, how did that happen? Because I know how fucking hard it is to do, as a job, and something that lines up like that. So the moon is the perfect distance from the Earth, and the perfect distance from the sun, and the perfect size perfectly eclipse the sun. Perfectly. If it was a mile bigger or a mile smaller, it wouldn't work. If it was a mile closer to the Earth or a mile further away, it wouldn't work. If it was a mile closer to the Earth, it would actually get pulled into the Earth and crash into us and destroy everything.
Yeah, no, that is wild.
It's in the perfect spot. The fact that it always has the same side facing us, which you had mentioned.
Bizarre. What's very bizarre is that we haven't gone back. We did that in 1969 and haven't gone back in 50 years?
So, yeah, and we could. Like
we easily could.
We have the technology. We did it back then. We're
Wow.
so far ahead.
Wow.
Think about this. Your phone, or my phone, or whatever. This is like exponentially more powerful than the computer that put us on the moon.
Yeah.
Way more
in the palm of your
powerful.
hand.
Yeah, and we're carrying it around with us. So we absolutely have the technology, the ability. We just haven't.
And there's got to be a reason we haven't.
Yeah, and I think that it's because we got up there and realized that there was something going on there we didn't understand, or that was, I don't know. I'm not saying that this is all true. I'm just saying that got me wondering. So,
yeah,
so it gets better. So it gets better.
Oh,
so,
God.
Yeah, there's so much more. So the moon, the fact that it keeps the same side facing us is completely an anomaly to any other heavenly body. Anything else that floats in space. The fact that it's always... It's a complete. It's a complete, like, it does. The chances of it happening are like 1 in bazillion. Like hitting the lottery. Like the idea that the moon.
Oh, so you're saying the odds of the moon doing the anomaly means the odds of something happening slim?
Yes.
Okay, I get it.
Exactly.
Continue. Sorry.
So it's a complete. It's something that we don't understand. Like no one can explain it. Every other moon that revolves around a planet or whatever just spins, and it's just gravity, and it just does its thing. Whereas ours is perfect, and it always has the same side facing, which, okay, so that's weird, but it's not, there's, if that was the only thing, that'd be like,
right.
So the moon, when we landed on the moon, when we first landed there, they were taking rock samples and doing all the things that they do, and the gas tank basically of the shuttle, which they jettisoned, which was just above their orbit, came in to the moon's. It doesn't have an atmosphere, but it hit the moon. They had set up seismographs all around the moon to check for, I guess it would be a moonquake. It's not an earthquake. If something happened, they were testing for everything while they were there, and so they wanted to see if there was like any type of seismic activity or whatever. So they had all these things set up, and when the gas shuttle, the gas tank came down and hit the moon rang like a gong. It was like metal hitting metal, and it was like it rang.
I've read that.
So at the time, Werner von Braun, have you heard the name?
Yeah.
He was, I think he was German. He definitely a German scientist. Our Operation Paperclip we took from Germany after World War II. Smartest guy on the planet.
Sure.
He was responsible for our entire rocketry program, everything that we still do to this day. How we put shuttles in the sky. That was his. He did that. So. This is where it gets fucked up. So this thing hits the moon. It does this. They have it registered on these seismographs. And Werner von Braun goes, "What? Like what? Like this guy is like completely dumbfounded. Like what the fuck? What does that even mean? So more investigation. You start looking at the moon. Every crater on the moon is the same depth.
Yeah.
Every single one of them.
That is true.
And so anything.
That's actually true. That is true, right?
It is.
Yeah.
100%. Anything that hits the moon only goes to a certain depth and stops. And so the crater will spread out, but it only goes a certain depth. And they're convex instead of
Don't ask me. I don't know words.
convex versus concave, where you would expect a meteor or a whatever chunk of some shit in space hits the moon, you would expect it to put a dent that would be the shape of the thing. It's actually... So it almost appears like, imagine a big metal shell with sand on it. Like,
Yeah.
Imagine that's our moon. And so it gets even better. So all the stuff that is actually on the surface, the sand, is like silica and things that are really good for impact. If you were going to engineer something and you wanted to just put this big metal shell out there and you didn't want to get beat the fuck out, because it doesn't have an atmosphere, so it's not like Earth where a lot of this
Something
stuff,
will burn and it's coming down.
right? It's getting pelted constantly by cosmic shit.
Yeah.
Just all the things that are so it has the perfect combination of things on its surface for that sort of thing to absorb that impact, and then underneath that is almost what seems like a hard shell.
So there's probably something in there.
So it gets better.
It still gets better.
Yeah. So Werner von Braun's like, what the fuck? Like literally, like what the fuck? What does this even mean? So they bring up this bigger gas cylinder and jettison it and drop it on, and they left those seismographs and they jettison and they drop it on the surface of the moon, a big one, like way bigger than the first one, and the moon rings like a gong for like 30 seconds, just wah wah wah, like what you would expect metal hitting metal,
Yeah.
like a big metal shell of something.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. What does that mean? Like, and so the idea of the moon being hollow, if that's the case, because that's really the only way it would ring, completely flies in the face of everything we know about everything that's out there in space.
Yeah.
Yeah. It doesn't. And so all the things put together, logically, if you're using math, if you're going to put this on paper, it makes more sense that the moon was engineered than it just showed up. And here's the thing that a lot of people don't understand. The moon is instrumental in everything that happens on the Earth. Our tides, our seasons, our weather, everything, all of it.
Yeah.
If the moon wasn't there, it's incredibly convenient that we have the moon because it does so much for this planet that, I mean, it controls menstrual cycles. I mean, not that that's the fact that it has that much influence on this
Yeah.
planet. And if it wasn't there,
Wild.
and if it wasn't there, like if you were to take it away, like if it just vanished,
Ocean tides and shit, dude.
yeah, tsunamis and like it would be crazy, and we wouldn't have our seasons anymore. Everything would be a complete.
That is wild that the moon has that much
We
impact.
would probably die. We would probably cease to exist. So you have to wonder, like, how lucky are we that it is there? That it does. So here it gets cooler. So there's a bunch of like indigenous people on this planet that have their creation stories, their theories on where they came from, and several of them talk about a time when there was no moon.
They talk about when the moon didn't exist.
Yes, and they talk in great detail about this story. They talk about how these two brothers lassoed the moon and brought it to the Earth from the stars. And it's interesting that a lot of these, indigenous, like they talk about the stars, like they're upset, like all over the world, like, and they're not connected, they're not talking to each other back then, but they're all talking about things from the stars. They all have the same stories. They talk about a time before there was the moon and these stories that they have, and they don't talk about these like their stories, like they talk about this as real history.
Yeah.
And in the story, they bring the moon to the Earth. And this is a story that goes back to like, way back before people had an understanding of any of this stuff. And they say how when the moon was brought here, it created tsunamis. And it created and exactly what would happen if you brought this giant mass because the moon does all the things that it does, but if you were to take it away, everything would be a mess. And if you brought it back, it'd be a mess again until it leveled out. And
Sure.
and what they're describing is pretty much what you would expect if you brought this thing and like it pulled the Earth into its, the whatever the symbiosis that we have with the moon, whatever. Yeah. They describe it fairly accurately on what you would expect to happen. And how do they know?
And that's like before science and shit.
yeah,
too.
they had no way of having any of this information.
So you think aliens exist, of course, right?
Yeah, I think it would be silly to think that we're the only thing out there.
Dude, it is weird just like living on Earth every day and like doing your normal shit and like thinking like how big outer space is. Like when you really think about it,
We're a
like
speck.
you a molecule, dude.
Yeah, we are. But yeah, it's interesting when you look at things that have become popular theories, you have to question why. You have to ask why are there so many people and some and the reality is that a good portion of human beings are just fucking dumb. Like, we
Yeah.
can agree on that. You know,
course.
like
I'm dumb.
But well, you know, but at the same time though, when you have enough people, smart people that are like, well, hold on. That's what gets, and this whole moon thing, that's really, because at first I'm like, come on. Like, what are you implying?
yeah.
That's a spaceship? Maybe it is.
It could be.
Who knows? But it makes more sense that it's not naturally there. That it literally, logically makes more sense that it was engineered. Yeah.
I got to do research on this now. I'm going to be up till 2 a.m. fucking watching YouTube videos now, thanks to Ben. Ben, I have so many things that I want to ask you, but like we're so over time that like I already have them in my brain. Again. So yeah, we're absolutely we're going to do this again soon. Within the next couple of weeks, like we're going to have Ben 2.0 because wow, I mean you got my memory, my brain jogging here. Like I want to watch these videos. So thank you so much for tuning in once again, Ben. Thank you for being here. Ben will be here very soon. Trust me, because we have so much more to talk about.
Yeah, man.
But
thank
folks,
you for having me.
no, thank you for being here because that was fucking awesome.
Yeah.
But we'll see you nerds next week. Wow, what an episode. I told you guys, Ben is huge in conspiracy theories, and man, that guy is just a genius all around. I look up to him. Ben, when I grow up, dude, I want to be just like you. And like I said before, we are absolutely going to have Ben back in the next few weeks. That needs a part 2. There's so much more that we need to talk about. But guys, please don't forget the absolute #1 way to support the brand. Buy some merch. We've got hats, hoodies, t-shirts, sweatshirts, you name it, we got it. And you can get yours today at www.garageboozing.net. I appreciate the love and support, and that helps me out the most. And of course, please don't forget to follow us on all of your favorite social media accounts at Garage Boozing, as well as YouTube. And of course, hit that subscribe, follow, whatever button it is on your favorite podcast platform. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, Pandora, whatever it is, we're out there every single place there is to listen to a podcast. We are there. So hit that subscribe button so you can be notified as soon as a new episode is released. Oh, yeah. And I totally forgot that on last week's episode, I was supposed to announce the contest winner for the giveaway because we do giveaways every once in a while on social media, so make sure you're following us. But the winner of the free Garage Boozing hoodie is Lee Gerard. So, Lee, I will be contacting you in regards to your free Garage Boozing hoodie. Thanks for playing, man, and congratulations. But yeah, folks, thank you so much for tuning in once again. You guys rock, and I'll see you nerds next week.
Ladies, gentlemen, and nerds. Do you have what it takes to be a guest on the fastest growing, alcohol chugging, and nonsense talking podcast? Well, now is your chance. The Garage Boozing Podcast has new guests every week, and you could be one of them. Just simply log on to www.garageboozing.net. Click the Be on the Show tab and submit your information. It's that simple. Join the boozement or be a loser. Don't miss your chance because we're taking this to the moon.